Welcome back to Recap House. Today I will show you a sci-fi horror film called Splice. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Clive Nicoli and Elsa Cast are two scientists who work for a company called Newstead and are experts in the field of genetic engineering. The company carries out a number of experiments with the goal of creating new life forms that could be used in medicine by splicing the DNA of various animals. Clive and Elsa finally accomplished their goal after numerous failed attempts. Fred and Ginger are the names that the duo settles on after marveling at their creations. The purpose of the two organisms was to produce therapeutic proteins for livestock. Clive and Elsa predict that they can use the same splicing method they used on Fred on humans after seeing the amazing results and potential outcomes of their experiment. The two scientists say that, if used correctly, the method could be the magic bullet for many diseases that are currently incurable, like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Their employers, Joan Corrad and William Barlow, strictly forbade the young scientists from carrying out human experiments because doing so could result in negative publicity for the company. As a result, their idea was not approved. Clive and Elsa make the decision to undergo their experiments behind closed doors. The two are successful in creating a human-animal splice after several failed attempts. Elsa, excited by their scientific breakthrough, decides to bring the genetic material to the birthing room to begin the creation process. Clive doesn't like the idea, but Elsa wants to keep the experiment going because it could help with a lot of human diseases. She persuades Clive not to worry because the creature will be destroyed before it reaches full term, so no one will ever know. The machine is started by Clive, and the conception sequence begins. Later, Clive is chatting with a coworker. Clive manages to evade the young man's question about what Elsa and he are working on. Elsa is examining the incubator in the meantime. She becomes immediately concerned when the creature's heartbeat suddenly stops, but she is relieved as soon as the heartbeat returns. Elsa and Clive are relaxing in their apartment after finishing work and discussing the possibility of moving into a larger one. Elsa is clearly nervous as the conversation continues and the two discuss having children. An alarm on Clive's phone interrupts their conversation. They get to the lab right away. Despite the fact that the planned birth is still months away, it turns out that the fetus is ready to emerge. Elsa sustains a hand injury as a result of Clive and Elsa's unsuccessful attempts to repair the machine and halt the creature's birth. After the creature is born, Clive manages to catch it under a plastic container before it can escape and cause any more harm. He goes to Elsa, who is convulsing and losing consciousness as a result of her wound, which is probably infected with the creature's poison. He tries to help her. She regains her normal state after Clive administers some medication via injection. Clive and Elsa go back to their apartment. Clive tells Elsa that they should kill their experiment after the birth, and this deeply shakes them both. Clive is determined to kill the creature, despite Elsa's assurances that they can still learn a lot from it. Soon, they head to the lab to kill the creature, but what they find in the incubator is what looks like a body. Elsa notices that the creature's entire body is missing, despite the fact that the incubator contains a lot of dead tissue. She hears light, quick footsteps coming toward her almost immediately. She encounters a small, chicken-like creature that leaves an impression on her. Even though the creature lacks a predatory gene in its DNA, Elsa and Clive are able to knock it out and begin studying it, only to discover that it can expel venom. It becomes clear as the creature continues to live that its defective DNA is making it age quickly. Later that evening, Clive meets with Barlow, who tells him that Clive and Elsa are to blame for Newstead's problems if they are unable to sell the medicinal proteins from Ginger and Fred. The creature has grown to be quite large after a month. Its behavior leads one to believe that it is intelligent to the level of a human toddler. Clive is concerned when Elsa forms a bond with the creature and treats it more like a child than a science experiment. She even removes the cover from the creature's stinger and lets it out of its containment area. Elsa decided to name the creature Dren, which is nerd spelled backward after the creature spells nerd out of toys after seeing the company's name on Elsa's shirt. Clive and Elsa get into a fight over how Elsa treats Dren. Since their lab is going to be renovated, it appears that their forbidden experiment is at risk of being revealed, opening the door for someone to see it. At that point, Gavin, a fellow college student, and Clive's brother sneak into the room to listen in on their conversation. However, Dren appears out of the blue. He quickly flees the scene, terrified. Clive and Elsa decide to hide Dren in a storage area away from prying eyes and sneak her out of a card box to keep her a secret. Elsa is greatly concerned that Dren has a very high fever, much to their dismay. Dren was quickly put in a cold water bath by Elsa and Clive to lower her fever. The creature's dubious lungs are made clear when Clive holds Dren underwater. Elsa cares for Dren that night and gives her a Barbie doll that she had to hide from her mother as a child. Dren has become significantly larger over time, and her appearance has become more human and womanly. Dren can be seen secretly watching Elsa and Clive from the next room as they fool around and end up having sex on the couch. Clive and Elsa show the public their original hybrid creations, Fred and Ginger, the following day. Sadly, the presentation goes horribly wrong when the two creatures become extremely violent and fight to the death. Clive and Elsa investigated the situation and discovered that Ginger had become a man. It remained unknown why she did this. Elsa and Clive make the decision to move Dren into an old farmhouse that was once owned by Elsa's mother. Dren dashes off to look for some food as soon as they reach the farm. Elsa and Clive move on to the farmhouse after setting up Dren's room in the barn. They find a filthy room with a bed, a single chair, and a bucket when they open the door, indicating that Elsa was raised in an abusive environment. Dren, on the other hand, is dissatisfied with her farm life. Dren becomes rebellious because her creators are always away from work and she only has a cat to keep her company. Clive likes this, but Elsa is deeply disturbed by it. Elsa makes the decision to remain at home and keep Dren company in order to keep Dren at bay. Elsa gives Dren jewelry and makeup to make her happy, which her mother strictly forbade when Elsa was a child. Elsa finds a lot of drawings of Clive on the makeup table, but not a single one of her. Dren runs away to her cat after becoming anxious about Elsa's discovery. Elsa takes Dren's cat with her and tells Dren that it's normal to not be able to get everything she wants. Dren is depressed when Clive arrives home, so he tries to cheer her up by dancing with her and turning on some music. Clive had forbidden feelings for Dren while they were dancing, and he soon finds out that Elsa used parts of her DNA to create Dren. Clive leaves after clashing with Elsa when he goes to confront her. Elsa decides to give Dren the cat she took from Clive after he leaves, but Dren kills it, and Elsa slaps Dren across the face. Elsa tried to steal the barn keys from Dren when he charged at her, but she was knocked out and strapped to an operating table. Elsa removes Dren's stinger in response to her violent behavior as she begins to remove Dren's clothes and jewelry. Elsa returns the stinger to the laboratory when Clive arrives to locate the proteins and synthesize them for her work. Clive goes to the farm the next day to find Elsa, but he runs into Dren, who tries to seduce him. Clive initially declines, but Dren eventually wins him over and the two have sex. Dren's previously amputated stinger can be seen to have grown back during the act. Elsa walks in on them and flees in rage, much to Clive's horror. Clive rushes over to her, and the two of them get in their car and drive to their old apartment, where they argue about Elsa's thoughts regarding Dren. It is revealed that Elsa wanted to have a child instead of having a traditional child because she desperately wanted to control the child, probably because she was abused as a child. When the argument between the two is over, they return to the farmhouse to find Dren dead in her bed. They burn Dren's clothing and bury her body. Elsa discovers Dren's self-portrait drawings as she moves Dren's belongings. After learning about Elsa and Clive's secret, Gavin and Barlow arrive there. Dren suddenly appears before they can start talking. He now appears to be more masculine, indicating that Dren, like Ginger, has changed gender. Dren becomes aggressive, slaying Gavin and Barlow and pinning Clive down. Dren quickly pursues Elsa as she tries to flee into the woods, but she doesn't get very far. Clive impales Dren with a branch from behind when he pounces on Elsa, presses her to the ground, and forces them to have sex. Elsa hits a rock on Dren's head after he attacks Clive, killing the creature once and for all. Elsa is still employed by Newstead despite everything that has transpired, and she has been granted permission to carry on her investigation into the proteins that Dren's body contained. She is clearly pregnant when she stands up, raising the possibility that she is carrying Dren's child. The movie ends. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this. Your subscription is very valuable to us.